What is up, Packer fans? Back again. Here we are, week 12. The Packers are 4-7, and now they go on the road after 2 home games, which they split. The big win against the Cowboys, and then the quick turnaround, tough loss to the Titans. Now, at 4-7, the Green Bay Packers head to Philadelphia to play the Eagles, a team that's flying high on a 9-1 with a 9-1 record. A young quarterback that really has progressed faster than most quarterbacks we see in the NFL, especially guys that have so many question marks about their ability. And then for him to jump the way he has and lead this team the way he has for the Eagles is really, really something to be seen. Jalen Hurts has really just elevated his game to a point where now, the Eagles are definitely contenders. And sitting at 9-1, they lost their first game of the season 2 weeks ago against the Commanders. Taylor Heinicke, got after him. He didn't play great, but the defense forced some turnovers, and they got timely plays when they needed. They ended up beating the Eagles in Philadelphia. And then last week, the Eagles went on the road to Indianapolis, and Indy had a lead over them and ended up losing at the end. Jalen Hurts on a fourth quarter scramble for the end zone. It parted like the Red Sea. There was no defenders within 10 yards of Jalen Hurts, and he scored, and the Colts weren't able to do anything after that. So Eagles definitely flying high. They're 9-1, number 1 seed in the NFC, especially, with the Vikings losing so bad to the Cowboys. Now the Eagles are kind of set in first place there. And they have the tiebreaker over the Eagles as well, because that's one of the Eagles' losses this year. But the Eagles, they're strong on both sides of the ball. The offense, they did lose Dallas Goedert, their Pro Bowl tight end, who is really, really good. But they also still have A.J. Brown, the Titans' old receiver that came over. He's just a force. He's a big body, strong, physical, kind of that Julio Jones, kind of the Deebo Samuel, just strong and physical. And then they have Devontae Smith, Heisman Trophy winning receiver out of Alabama. This guy, he's a little undersized, but he is quick, he's agile, he can move. And then they have, Miles Sanders in the backfield with Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott. And then, Jalen Hurts acts kind of like that mobile quarterback, but also power back sort of player. And, they run a lot of RPO. They run a lot of just misdirection, kind of get you thinking going one way, make you think we're going to run it and then pass it, or vice versa, make you think we're going to pass it then run it. So a lot of their concepts have multiple outs. And you saw the game against the Cowboys where they would just read Micah. If Micah would run up on Jalen, Jalen would throw it over Micah's head to an open A.J. Brown. If Micah would go after A.J., then Jalen can run, So whatever you do, the offense has a counter, and that can make this RPO really, really hard. The Eagles have been averaging 26.3 points a game. That's 4th in the NFL, while their defense only allows 18.3. That's 7th in the league. So the Packers definitely have their work cut out for them. For the Packers, this season has looked a lot different than the Eagles. The Eagles, pretty much dominating teams, winning most all their games, obviously. Even the Detroit Lions played them tough. It was like a 38-35 win, but the Eagles held out. That game I remember just because that was kind of the beginning of the Lions scoring so many points early in the season, being that number 1 offense was because of that game against the Eagles. But the Packers, Aaron Rodgers just hasn't played up to his standards. He hasn't had the weapons to throw to. Obviously, Christian Watson has emerged over the last couple of weeks. 5 touchdowns in 2 games, but he had 0 before that. The first, I think it was 9 games before that, he had 0. So for the Packers offense, they really need to get things going. They need to, against the Cowboys, they ran the ball 40 times, passed it 20 times, and that was the formula for the win and the key to their success. Both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon need to get the ball. I need them to be up over 35 touches, carries per game. I've been saying that since week 1, since the formula for winning for this Packers team, because they didn't have the weapons on the outside. Should have been running the football and playing great defense. The Packers are scoring an average of 18.4 points per game. That's 26th in the NFL. And their defense allows 22 points a game. That's 16th in the NFL. Both just very, very low numbers for the Packers, especially with having Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. You think, for years they averaged almost 30 points a game, and to be under 20 this year is really, really tough. Rodgers hasn't had a 300-yard passing performance since Week 13 of last year against Chicago. And for the Packers, it doesn't all ride on Aaron Rodgers throwing the football, but he is one of the best throwers of the football, and back-to-back MVP, you need him to carry some of the team to wins at some point here and there. He needed to win some of those games. The Commanders, the Jets, the Giants, the Lions, all winnable games this season. And for the Packers, they just couldn't figure it out. And for Rodgers, the numbers don't really always tell the story. Sometimes he'll have, against the Cowboys, he had a really good game, but he only threw it 20 times, completed 14 of his passes, 220 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So for them, for that game, that's perfect stats. That's what you want. But if the Packers, if he's going to lead this team, if he's going to carry some of the slack that has to be swept up after, the Packers' bad play calling, bad defense, bad coverage, bad communication, all the different factors that go into it, Rodgers is the one guy that can carry the team, put him on his shoulders, and carry the team with his ability, and he just has not been able to do that this season. So Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia Eagles, best record, coming in after the 17-16 win over the Colts. Jalen Hurts, 18-25, 190 yards, a touchdown, 86 yards on the ground. This is where you really have to watch Jalen Hurts. His ability to scramble, the play calls that are just for him to run the ball, where they spread him out wide and then have the quarterback draw. And that's a guy, he can squat 600 pounds. We all hear about that. But he's basically their power back, and the Packers need to be ready for him. I'd almost just spy Quay Walker 90% of the time, especially on, downs that are passing, pass rundowns or whatever. Obviously, first down, maybe just not spy him. But once it gets down to third down, 3rd and 4, now you have to spy him, because he's going to pretend like he's going to throw it, and he's just going to run it. And you need a guy that's right there to keep up with him, and a guy that can make the tackle, because he is a big body and tough to bring down for sure. So the Packers find themselves in a must-win game on Sunday night against the Eagles. They need to balance the run game, the pass game, and being able to stop the RPO, which, with Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell and Hurts as their true power back, like I've been saying, it's going to be tough for the Packers, but they need to stop the run. They did against the Titans last week, but they allowed Tannehill to kind of throw for, his best game of the season, which the Packers they did that with Zach Wilson, had a great game. I think Daniel Jones had his best game of the season. Bailey Zappi looked great against this Packers defense, and so, Tannehill did the same thing, and Hurts has the ability to do the same thing. So the Packers really have to play sound defense. They have to get after it. They have to tackle. They have to do all the things that they haven't been doing great this season. They have to do it on Sunday. The Packers defense, Hurts could hit him over the top with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. If, he gets the running game going, he's lulling you to sleep, RPOs here and there mixed in. And then as soon as the defense kind of crashes down to play against the run, that's when he hits the guys over the top. Like I said, A.J. Brown and Smith. They have Quez Watkins, who is so fast. Anybody who plays Madden or whatever, they know you just send that guy in a fly, and he burns all the defenses. So he's the guy to watch out for sure, just his speed and his ability to get over the top. Packers haven't played a lot of guys with his speed yet this season, so that's something to watch out for sure. And the Packers defense, they need to play one of their best games of the season if they are going to get the win against the Eagles. Just because this Eagles team is so sound on defense, so sound on offense. The play calling is great. The defense sticks together, the communication. And the Packers, if they have breakdowns in communication on the back end, you cannot have a guy like A.J. Brown running free in the open field if he gets the ball and he gets ahead of steam, and he's a tough guy to bring down, and I just can see him already just running free, and the Packers being just like, well, what happened there, you know? So they cannot have that happen. The Packers honestly have to play their best game of the season if they are going to get this win against the Eagles in Philly. Aside from, you know, the top performers on defense, the Packers, you know, just haven't had the guys step up like they need to. You know, Jair's played okay. Preston Smith has played okay. But nobody has really been elite. Rashawn Gary going out, that was our one guy. And now it's got to be a by-committee type of defense for the Packers. Communication on the back end, getting pressure up front, and just tackling. Tackling is going to be so huge in this game. The Eagles are going to want to run the football. The Packers are going to need to stop the run and watch out for that RPO and play action. So, Packers, you know, like I said, they ran the ball 40 times against the Cowboys. That is the key. That opens up play action. That gets the linebackers and safeties as they kind of come down, and then you can hit them over the top, which is why Watson was open on 3 touchdowns. You know, the first one was a nice catch over the shoulder. He was one-on-one. They didn't really suspect that play to come, but he got it, and then after that, he kind of just burned guys. So that's what the Packers really need to do, find that balance with running the ball and throwing the ball. But on defense, they need to play their best game of the season. This is a really, really good offense with a really, really sound quarterback. And for the Packers, it comes down to just making the plays, just being sound, just doing your job and not trying to do too much and not getting beat on all these different plays where it's 3rd and 7, you're playing 10 yards off and they get a first down easier. It's 3rd and 10 and all of a sudden the guy breaks free wide open downfield. You just cannot have that. And for the Packers, they need to figure these things out. Otherwise, I think Joe Barry might be on the hot seat if this Packers defense continues to struggle. But comes down to, can the Packers offense score points against this Eagles defense? Hassan Reddick, he has got 7.5 sacks. Jason Hargrave, the defensive tackle, he's got 7 sacks. Brandon Graham, he's got like 4.5 sacks. Josh Sweat, he's got like 4 sacks. Fletcher Cox up there in sacks. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson for the Eagles has 6 interceptions this season, and they just signed Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph, defensive tackles, because their rookie Jordan Davis is out. I think he's done for the season likely, but maybe he'll come back in the playoffs. But either way, for the Eagles, I mean, with Reddick having 7.5 sacks and Hargrave in the middle having 7 sacks, and then Brandon Graham coming off the edge, this defense is so good. And then they had Josh Sweat, and then they still have Fletcher Cox, who's like the all-pro of all pros, behind Aaron Donald, and, you know, right there with Kenny Clark, kind of, was why Kenny Clark hasn't made it to all the all-pros and Pro Bowls like we thought he would, playing as well as he has, is because of guys like Fletcher Cox and Aaron Donald ahead of him in that defensive tackle group. So this Eagles defense is just super good in the front, the defensive line, the linebackers, and then obviously with TJ Edwards, he leads the team in tackles. Old Wisconsin Badger guy, so, you know, I know him pretty well. But for the Packers, it comes down to getting after this defense, confusing them, blocking up on the offensive line, and just trying to score some points. Points have come at such a premium this year for the Packers, and this is what it comes down to. They need to figure it out. With the emergence of Christian Watson for the last 2 weeks, the Packers need to keep progressing him. Romeo Doubs won't be back this week. He should be back maybe against the Bears next week. I still think that's pushing it, but that would have been the earliest I would have expected him back. Otherwise, we will see him after the bye week against the Rams. I believe we play first. So, but that's a bummer. But once we get those 2 guys out there, it could be really a fun offense to watch. And then we should be getting Devondre Campbell. No word yet on if he is playing on Sunday, but we will wait and see. That would be a huge lift, even though Quay Walker has really, really, really looked like a guy for sure. You can just see that he's starting to figure it out. It's starting to slow down for him. He's starting to be able to just react and go. And this guy is a true baller for real. And so if Campbell comes back, that just adds to that. And then Eric Stokes is likely done for the season. So tough there, but the Packers still have enough people, enough tools, enough, you know, and Aaron Rodgers, they still have enough weapons in order to make this a game. Just got to keep it close, get the confidence, and try to get that Philly fans, the Philly fans out of it, just because it can get loud and crazy at Lincoln Financial Field. So this is supposed to, I mean, this has to be the playoff start point for the Packers. Like, this is, if they don't win this game, the season is done. I mean, and it's still a long shot. It's still a far shot, but I'm always going to ride or die with the Packers. I just am talking about, if they lose, what to do later on. And I got a lot of backlash from that about starting Jordan Love, but I really do still think it's a great opportunity for the Packers. But the Packers need to treat this like a playoff game, go into it, and just come out victorious. Mathematically, they're still in the playoff hunt. With a loss, they're basically not. It's basically over. But with a win, and some other teams losing, and then if they can beat the Bears, and then they get the bye week, they could see themselves in a completely different situation in 3 weeks if they can win a couple of these games. From Matt LaFleur to Aaron Rodgers to Joe Barry to every other player on the team, this Packers team needs to play their best game of the season. It has to be absolutely their best game of the season if they want to beat this 9-1 Eagles team. For the Packers, it all starts up front with blocking. They have to block up. They have to run the ball effectively. And then Rodgers has to make a few clutch throws. Of course, we saw him miss some last week that he normally makes. He said the thumb's not the issue. He just misses throws sometimes, but that is not acceptable, especially on third downs when you have to have it and you have guys wide open. He has to hit those throws. So Rodgers has to make some clutch plays. The defense has to tackle, read their cues on RPOs, really play sound defense. We haven't played an RPO team like this all season. So for the Packers, this is going to be something new. Maybe watch what the Colts did last week. Maybe watch what the Commanders were able to do 2 weeks ago. And then the communication on the back end is going to be so important. We cannot have these receivers of the Eagles running free in the open field. And maybe Jair on Smith and Douglas on Brown. That's kind of how they match up size-wise and speed-wise. A little more agility for Smith, so maybe Jair goes on him. But we will see what the Packers do in that situation. I think Savage could play really good against Smith too, but Savage needs to be on the same page communication-wise. He's one of the guys that really blew some of those calls or some of those coverages last week for the Packers against the Titans. So, but then, offense does their job, defense does their job, and then it comes down to the special teams not blowing the game. Just don't do anything to lose the game. Just do your part, make your extra points, make your field goals, block up the punts, cover on kicks. Just do your part. Don't do anything to lose the game. And, I think we have like 14 turnovers this season, but you have to remember like 5 of those are from Amari Rodgers alone, and he is no longer on the squad. So this team, this game is going to be huge. I think with the back up against the wall, the Packers can really, really do something against this Eagles team. I know that they have the explosiveness when Rodgers can make the plays, when it can get blocked up, when guys can get open. I know there's a team inside this Packers group that can come out there and win. They just have to play their style of football. And I don't even know if the coaches know what that is yet, but it's run the ball, play good defense, and make those big throws, big time plays when you need them. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I still have faith the Packers can turn the season around. It's a long shot. It really is. And I know I got a lot of backlash from saying that we should start Love if we lose these games. But it is a huge opportunity for the Packers to let Love play if Rodgers and the Packers are eliminated from the playoffs, to see what they have with him, and they can make a decision based on that. But either way, this is a huge game. It starts now. I'm still a diehard. I'm still optimistic, and I still back the Packers 100%. I just have to be realistic about what I see and what this team is doing this season. So, but thanks again. Like I said, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Go Pack, go! Go Pack, go! They gotta win this game. Peace out. See you guys later.